Hi, welcome to a Midwestern thunderstorm while I talk about myself. That's right, it's a Q&A video. Now, I've never done a Q&A video before, honestly because the idea of talking about just myself for an extended period of time makes my skin crawl right off my bones. You asked frankly an inappropriate amount of questions, and I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that you care to know about me and what I think. And there were definitely specific topics that were covered many times, so I have so many ideas now for different videos to make in the future about creativity, how to balance creative pursuits and having a YouTube channel and maybe a full-time job as well, pursuing hobbies without fear of judgment. So thank you. I'm extremely inspired. And to be very transparent, this Q&A was actually just supposed to be a small portion of an office cleanup video, but then you asked literally thousands of questions, so I thought maybe it makes sense to keep it its own thing, and we'll do the office cleanup, I don't know, next week? The week after? Soon. Okay, let's dive in. I picked out a couple. When I say a couple, I was like, I'll do like 5 or 6 questions. I screenshotted over 100. I probably won't get to all of those. I definitely won't get to all of those. There are a lot of repeats. So one of my top 2 questions was, how do you do it all? Specifically from Tim, how do you find time to do everything? Work, art, friends, family, relationship, sleep, etc. And I feel like I could talk at length about this maybe in its own separate video, but for now, kind of in broad strokes, it reminds me of that design graphic, which is like, you can pick 2, good, fast, and cheap. And this is a very you can pick 2 situation that I found myself in, because although this was never really my plan, YouTube has definitely become a second full-time job. So if I have 2 full-time jobs, that doesn't leave much extra time. So it really has been a situation of prioritizing things and letting a lot of things kind of fall to the wayside. And this is by choice. You know, I could pull back in certain areas and add into other areas, but I really like what I'm doing. I like chasing what I'm chasing currently. So the areas that I've pulled back in, definitely friendship and the social aspect. I mean, I started my YouTube during COVID because I was not getting much social interaction during those times, and I wanted to connect with people. So even after, you know, restrictions were lifted and people were starting to go out into the world more, I really wasn't. I was here. I was editing and I was thrifting. And it's not to say I don't have any friends. I've actually made friends from YouTube, which was the goal, so yay about that. But I've made some local friends too. And it's just the scenario of, after I get done with my day job work day, I could go hang out with my friends, go party, or I could work on my YouTube videos. More often than not, I choose the latter. And it kind of works out for me because I have a pretty small social battery anyways, so hanging out with people once or twice a week is kind of fine with me. I also choose social activities that just work with my schedule. For example, a lot of nights I'll end up gaming for an hour or 2 with friends, which is something that I can just easily do from my house where I already am editing. I'm not a shut-in, I'm not. But when you ask, how can I handle it all? How can I balance it all? There's your answer. You gotta let some things go. I'll also say, like, I made this channel to connect with people, and I feel like I'm doing that. Not only with the actual, you know, real life friends that I've made through YouTube, but just you guys too, commenting back and forth, chatting on Instagram. It's really fulfilling for me. This is similar. Kelsey says, while working and creating content, how do you still have time to craft? You're my hero. That's really sweet. Here's my secret. You gotta make your content crafting, and then you'll craft all the time. I just cringed at myself for saying making content, because yeah, while I do make a long form piece of content, aka a video on YouTube most weeks, a lot of weeks, I don't know if I can consider myself a content creator. I feel like that also means like you're very invested in short form content and you're posting all the time on Instagram, and well, if you've seen my Instagram, you see that I don't post very often. More than a content creator, I think I'm more of a YouTuber, or just a person who makes YouTube videos. I don't know. Who am I arguing with? Myself. Peace Love Dinos asks, in the beginning and now, do you ever get overwhelmed balancing your jobs, hobbies, etc.? This is specifically interesting because it's comparing how I felt when I first started versus now. When I first started, I was not overwhelmed at all. I was so excited. I had this new project, this new hobby that I was pouring into. So that did not feel overwhelming, and I didn't find it tough to balance. Now, there's a couple things that have made it more complicated, and it's not really making the videos themselves. It's more like my life in general has gotten more complicated and busy. My day job is much busier now than it was when I first started. So now, for example, sometimes I'm working till 8 or 9 p.m. and then I don't have time to do YouTube stuff, whereas before I had much clearer boundaries between like work day and after work day. It's all okay. I'm also just busier with like family family, sick dog. More of my brain space is taken up by things that are not YouTube and crafting. So I would say before, less overwhelmed. Now, more whelmed, but we're still good. It's still okay. I feel like it's an ebb and flow kind of thing. I think that we can segue into the next section, which is YouTube and quote-unquote content creation, because somebody asked, would you ever want to do YouTube full-time? And it's kind of complicated. Short answer is no, but kind of. Let me give you the long answer now. So, I mean, I don't dream of working 30 more years as a corporate creative designer. I'll tell you that right now. However, I don't want to just make YouTube videos full-time. One, because I feel like YouTube has always kind of been almost like a byproduct of my already creative pursuits. Like either I was already going thrifting, so I said, hey, come along with me, I'll make some videos about it, or I'm already making art and crafting, come along with me while we do it. I want to keep that spirit because I think that's what's helped me do this for so long and so intensely. So I think best case scenario for me would be I would love to be a freelance illustrator, fashion illustration. If I could do freelance fashion illustration for different clients, chef's kiss. I also love working on products for my store, graphic t-shirts, applique patterns. So that might be my full focus sometime in the future. And then YouTube can be the little window in to the creative process of things that would already be happening whether I'm making videos about it or not. I love making videos though. I don't want that to stop. Vera asks, what do you like about being a YouTuber? Everything. I honestly think it's so cool. I think there's like this built-in almost self-hatred. It's like ironic, but also maybe honest, that I hear from a lot of people who make YouTube content where they're like embarrassed about being a YouTuber or telling people that they're YouTubers, and I'm like, I think it's so cool. Is it not a dream job? There really has not been much to dislike. And maybe that's because I make videos about doing what I like to do already. So it's just like, oh, I get to do what I love? Sure. And for the most part, everyone is really cool too. Like community-wise, y'all are cool. My comments are extremely nice. I could probably count on 2 hands the number of quote-unquote mean comments I've ever gotten, which they're always kind of funny too. So it's like, this is great. I really appreciate y'all. I like to think that's a byproduct of cultivating just a good vibe here that doesn't welcome freakish behavior, the bad kind, not the good kind. Okay, do you want to talk about some just practical making video tips? Because there's a lot of people who are like, how do I get started? What do you do? X, Y, and Z. Crescent Moon asks, how do you not be awkward when filming yourself for YouTube videos? That's a good question. I think if you go back and watch my oldest videos, you'll see that I did feel awkward. And the only way to not feel awkward is to then do it 1,000 more times, and then you won't feel awkward anymore. I think there are some, again, practical things you can do to help yourself. One, if you're doing like a talking head clip like this, where you're just talking to camera, delivering information, whether that's you being like, this is what we're doing today, or it's you're delivering like a video essay or something, it can be so helpful and important to know what you're gonna say first. I'm not saying script stuff out. I mean, you can totally do that, but you don't have to. All I'm saying is have an idea of what the point you're trying to get across before you click record, because there's nothing worse than staring at yourself in the viewfinder and getting caught up in your own shenanigans. That's a great way to psych yourself out. If you mess up your wording, just say it again. Just cut that part out or keep it in. No one cares. Do you believe me? No one cares. Okay, another practical tip, because I think a lot of people get far ahead of themselves and they're like, I don't know I'm gonna film in public. Like, are people gonna make fun of me? If you're new to filming in public, focus on filming B-roll. So basically clips where you're not talking, you're not delivering information. It's just like flavor for the video. And you can be in the B-roll. So maybe setting your camera down and then looking through a rack of clothing or sitting on a park bench. Get used to that. Just sitting there and filming yourself without talking to the camera. And eventually you'll be able to talk to the camera too. It is weird to talk to your phone or your camera in public. It feels strange. But again, nobody cares. People might look at you because they literally hear you talking and they're like, oh, what's that? And they might look at you for a second and then look away. Like, I'll say it again, nobody cares. Tips on filming craft or art videos for those who are new to it. I think it is interesting to think about what you want the final product to be and who is your audience. So for example, if you're just filming yourself going through the process from start to finish of a craft, then think of the final product. What is that? Is it a tutorial? Is it just background noise for someone? Because if you're just filming the process, it might not be the most interesting thing for someone else to click on and watch. But if it's a tutorial, you specifically want to teach someone how to do something, you'll start to think about it differently. Like, oh, I have to make sure my steps are clearly written out. I have to have a strong after product to show. Or maybe you want it to just be kind of like nice, vibey, almost ASMR background clips. Okay, well then maybe you're not going to be talking as much, or maybe your clips will be longer You'll move your camera around more to make it a little more artistic, get close-ups far away. I think the first step is being like, I want to make a video. Then the second step has to be, what's the point of that video? And that will kind of take you down differing paths of how you might approach it. 2 more just nitty-gritty questions. Where do you source your music? I get this question a lot, or people asking for like playlists of the music or what specific songs are. 99.5% of the music I use in my videos are all from Epidemic Sounds. I have a license with them. So it's all just royalty-free music, or most of it is. If you're ever curious about a specific song, you can use like Shazam or ask your phone what the song is. They should all come up if you're curious. And then what font do you use in your thumbnails or in your videos? So I usually use like a black letter, medieval-esque font. One is called Broken Script, one is called Cabazon. If you search black letter font, you'll get a similar vibe. We're going to talk about work next, but before that, do you mind if we take a quick moment to talk about today's sponsor? I think it's time for a little self-care moment, a little bit of R&R, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, which happens to be Curology. Thank you, Curology. If you're not familiar, Curology offers prescription skincare personalized for you. All you have to do is take their skin quiz, submit a few photos, and a licensed dermatology provider will recommend a routine for you. Easy. It's been about a month now of using my prescription formula, and I've noticed 3 main things. Before that, I'm gonna wash my face, and this time I actually have something to hold my hair back. Gentle, gentle. The main big thing, and I mentioned this last time during my couple week check-in, was that my seemingly perpetual clogged pores and blackheads on my nose and T-zone area are basically gone. It's like it was never a problem at all. Secondly, while I use my prescription formula, one of the main reasons I wanted to try Curology was for skin tone evenness and some redness. Mostly had some patchy redness and discoloration on my cheeks and on my chin. And while it's not totally perfect yet, and probably never will be, it's definitely gotten better. Speaking of evenness, I'm going to use this dark spot serum that has niacinamide in it, which is my favorite cinnamide. Third is texture. Specifically on my forehead, I've always kind of had those bumps. It's not acne, it's just like kind of a bumpy texture on my forehead. And for the most part, she's like a freshly paved road now. I think the thing I like most about Curology is how seamlessly it's slotted into my already very simple skincare routine. It's really just one extra step, which is the prescription formula. And the one extra step is making a big difference. Fresh. So if you're curious about trying Curology yourself, you can start your Curology journey today and get a special offer on your first box by checking out the link down below or the code up here for more info. Thank you, Curology. So many questions about the full-time job aspect of balancing a full-time job and a YouTube channel. Just as a refresher, I've worked as an associate creative director at Adobe for a while. I started as an intern in 2014. And we'll start with kind of the basic question, what does a creative director even do? What is that? And I understand because I didn't know either. You might be mad at me for saying this, but I'm allowed to say it because it's true. A creative director is just a glorified graphic designer. That's simplifying it, but typically creative directors have a graphic design background and it's more of a director or management position. So say you get a brief from a client that's like, hey, we need to redesign our whole restaurant business. The creative director might be the one putting together like the vision and the pitch for this new concept, but they might not be doing the actual designing. That might be assigned to graphic designers or production designers or something. So day to day, I don't do a whole lot of pixel pushing. It's mostly like building presentations in Figma and aligning with brand guidelines. Graphic design is not my passion. I studied illustration, and you might wonder, well then why have you been a creative director? Kind of on accident. I studied illustration in school. I applied for like just kind of a art design internship at Adobe. It wasn't graphic design specific and got accepted, and that internship basically turned into making like instructional learning content and tutorials for workflows in various Creative Cloud apps. So most of my career has been focused on instructional design, which I love. I love teaching people how to do stuff. And it's only in more recent years that it's become much more like giant campaign work. Like I worked on the mobile app release of Photoshop, which was really fun. I got to work on a Billie Eilish campaign a couple years ago. And I'll also let you in on a little nugget of information. I'm not going to be a creative director for very much longer. We'll talk about that in the future. Another popular topic, questions about my house. I may or may not have promised to do a house tour at 100,000 subscribers. No one remembers me saying that. Listen, it'll come someday. Or maybe it won't. It probably will though. But for now, I can answer a couple questions. questions. What's the story of your house? Do you know the architect? Yes, just in a nutshell, this house was built in the 60s. As you've probably seen in my videos, it's very mid-century modern, specifically Usonian, which were mid-century houses that really relied on natural materials and simple materials. So there's a lot of cinder block, there's a lot of wood that utilize straight lines while integrating with the nature around them. We love it. We're big mid-century heads. We were looking for a kind of historically significant mid-century vibe when we were house hunting. As for the architect, he was actually a bridge builder, like a highway bridge engineer for the Department of Transportation. Hence the fact that our house is built like a highway bridge. It's not going anywhere. I think that's cool. It's a cool detail. Again, we'll talk more about it in the future, but we love our little home in the woods. Okay, some personal questions. How is Kashi doing? A lot of you were wondering about Kashi, my dog. I mentioned a couple of videos ago that he's not doing well, and he's hanging in there. He's still with us. He's dealing with health issues that will not get better. So at this point, we are just caring for him the best we can at kind of the final season of his life. It's been really, really hard, and I don't really know what else to share about it besides we love him and it's been really hard. I also want to say, while I appreciate you guys asking about how he is and wanting updates, I don't think I'm going to give like another Kashi update because there really isn't an update to give. I know you guys really love him, and he's a lot of y'all's favorite internet dog, which is so special because he's my favorite internet dog and favorite dog in general forever. So I'll let you know when things change, you know, but for now, no other updates. Someone wanted to see a puppy photo of Kashi. We don't actually have any puppy photos of him. We adopted him when we think he was 2. This is the oldest photo we have of him. He looks crazy. And someone is wondering about his breed. We actually did the Embark DNA testing on him, and we learned that he is exactly 50% just Australian Shepherd and 50% miniature Australian Shepherd, which makes sense because he's always been a little guy. He's like a little guy with the proportions of just a standard Australian Shepherd. So cute. But all of his closest relatives on that DNA service are dogs that are like this big. They're so tiny. I know I probably don't need to say this, but if you're asking about his breed, I just gotta give the PSA that please do not get Australian Shepherds or Aussie Doodles from breeders. Australian Shepherd breeding is specifically notorious for creating really sick dogs. You have a really high chance for all kinds of issues, whether it's vision impairment, deafness, both, other issues. Very much an adopt, don't shop situation. I'm sure you guys all know that. But if you're local to Ohio or the Midwest in general, we adopted Kashi through Speak for the Unspoken, which is a rescue that specifically focuses on special needs dogs, specifically Australian Shepherds. So check them out if you want to foster or are looking for a forever friend. So many of y'all were curious about my sweet, lovely boy of a man, Gus. How did you and Gus meet? Did you meet in art school? Blah, blah, blah. You're gonna be nauseous because it's so sickeningly sweet, okay? So Gus and I met in high school, but we didn't date in high school. It kind of all started when we both worked at the local pool. The pool was like the summer employer for all of our friends. And you might be thinking, wow, you guys were lifeguards together? No, he was a lifeguard. I worked in the snack stand. So I worked in a 150-degree oven, and I was like a little sweaty troll every day. Actually, speaking of that, I do get questions a lot from people being like, you wear so many layers in the summer, like don't you get so hot? And I think literally working that many summers in that little steam box of a snack stand at that pool, no AC, fryers going full blast. It made me different with my heat tolerance. I don't know, I feel like I evolved. Anyways, we didn't start dating then either because I was putting on a very snooty act of I'm too cool for you because everyone loved Gus. And in my head that meant everyone loves him. It can't be real. He can't actually be that nice. I see right through you. Turns out he really was that nice. Much to my chagrin, but current happiness. So I was in denial, and actually his little sister worked at the snack bar with me, and she would confide in me like, ugh, everyone likes my brother, like it's so annoying. You don't like him, right? And I'm like, no, definitely not. It's extremely wholesome and nerdy, but the real thing that connected us was video games and anime. I know, a weeb's dream come true. One night we were all hanging out with our friends. He was there, I was there, and someone was asking him, like, are you playing any video games recently? And he's like, oh, well, I play this really random one. I don't really know if anyone else plays it, but it's called Maple Story. And I was like, I play Maple Story, and our eyes locked. And in that moment, we knew he's the best, and I love him. A lot of y'all are curious about my wedding, which is funny because I guess you would be curious because I've never talked about it. I've been married for 11 years. Somebody asked, did you DIY your wedding? No, my wedding was almost exclusively planned and put together by like my mom and our families, because we got married a week or two after graduating from college. I did not have much time to be planning a wedding while I was trying to graduate from art school, okay? There were a lot of times my mom was like, do you want this or this? And I was like, I do not, please just pick. I can't. It was lovely. It turned out wonderfully. We did have a barn wedding, but it wasn't one of those barn weddings, okay? It was cool. Someone wants to know, what was your wedding dress like and what dress would you choose now? Oh my gosh, I was just looking at our wedding photos the other day. And it's no big deal, but Markiplier did use the same wedding photographer as me. So if you need an amazing wedding photographer, that's your girl. Anyways, what did my dress look like? It's funny because my dress is not a style that I liked at all back then. It was drop waist, one shoulder, very elegant and kind of Grecian. I was so surprised that that ended up being my wedding dress. However, looking back 10 plus years later, I love that dress. Gorgeous. I would choose it again. If I were choosing a dress now, like totally net new, I have no idea. I'd probably just find a funky vintage one that I can't even imagine right now. I might not even do a dress. Maybe I'd do like a 2-piece set or a little suit. I don't know. Bailey says, oh, congrats. I'm getting married soon. Do you have any tips about weddings, or more importantly, marriage? Specifically tips about weddings. If you have control and decision-making control, I really recommend just doing things the way you want to do them. Throw tradition out the window. Do what you want to do. If you don't want to have a first dance, don't have a first dance. If you want to force everyone to do karaoke, do that. It's okay to eschew other traditions and make your own. That's like kind of the perfect time too. And do you have any tips about marriage? Oh, all I can say is that I hope you're marrying someone that you really love and respect, and that they really love and respect you, because you're going to change a lot over your hopefully entire rest of your life. You're going to seem like totally different people. I know I do. I feel like I've gone through like 3 life cycles since then. And you are going to change. And more importantly, your partner is going to change a lot. They're going to grow. They might change their mind about things. They might go through periods of uncertainty that you will need to support them through. And they'll need to support you too. Oh, it's just the best. It's the best. Let's talk about creativity. Let's talk about self-doubt. A lot of people were wondering, how do you create freely without judgment or imposter syndrome? Or how do you overcome the doubt when trying to create and sharing something new? I know a lot of people deal with this experience of not even wanting to try new things because you don't want to be bad at them. You don't want to be seen failing. I know there can be a lot of shame wrapped up in not being perfect. And I have 2 tips for that. I think we could also have a whole video on this. But 2 things to think about. 1, we're not born doubting ourselves. We're not born thinking we're not good enough. That's learned, and it's learned from somewhere. So I often wonder when people tell me this, or even when I struggle with shame or embarrassment or something myself, I ask myself, who is that? Because it's not me. Oftentimes, it can go way back. Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a friend group, maybe it's just society in general. But ask yourself, whose voice is in my head right now? And you can really distance yourself, because it's not you. It's okay that it's there, but it's not you. So identifying that, and then also your own voice, the thing that is you, that wants to try something new, that's curious, that just wants to try. That's what you got to turn up to 11, okay? And the other part to think about is think about why you want to create, because I find a lot of the time when we do feel this embarrassment or this pressure or imposter syndrome, our reason for creating, or the one that we're letting override, is like, I want to create so I can show it to someone and be accepted, or I want to create so I can be like these other people. I want to create so I can X, Y, and Z. And that's okay, but I think at the real core, or at least the thing that you can focus on if you need a reset, is I want to create because it feels good, because it helps me express something. And I think that also helps you not judge yourself so much when maybe you don't like what you make, or it's not perfect, quote unquote. If you're doing it because it just feels literally good to do, or it feels cathartic, or it helps you express, who cares what it looks like? Who cares the outcome? That's just how I think about it. And it works well. Man, there are so many questions. And this is going to be a lightning round, because these are all the random ones that don't really fit into another category. How often do you thrift? Daily? Weekly? Bi-weekly? I don't thrift nearly as much as I used to. I go maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe less. Honestly, and I'm sure you know this if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm very much in a season of getting rid of things or trying to reuse what I have. I also find that my thrift trips are much more targeted now. Like, I go to the thrift store because I'm looking for a specific thing. anything for my house or my life, unless just like, let's see what we can find. Next question, is there an item that you passed on at the thrift that still haunts you? This is an important question to me because the answer is no. Here's the thing. If you want this to be a lifelong part of your life, thrifting, bringing in secondhand items, you gotta become so picky at a certain point, because at a certain point, your house gets full. And that's not fun for anybody. It's what I'm dealing with right now. So to battle that, I think you need a mindset shift. At least I'm doing this for myself. Of if I see something amazing at the thrift store, it's okay to just see it and continue. Because I know for a fact myself, maybe this is just how my brain works, I will forget about it. I will not be thinking about it in 72 hours. And if I am, maybe I'll go back and try and get it. But I can't even think of an example of a time that that's happened. It's also the idea that it's okay to have a little, I don't know, longing in your life, a little blissful regret, you know? I just like to hold on to the idea, in fact, that there's more goodness. There's more goodness coming to us. So you don't have to get so claws in to physical objects, especially at the thrift store. Is this just copium talking? I don't know. Colleen Davis, ma'am, what happened to that little yellow ruler you used to put on your microphone? Is she okay? Are you okay? Proof of life. Would you recommend living in Ohio? Ohio is cool and underrated, I think. That being said, I wouldn't recommend you just move here for no reason. The only reason we moved back from San Francisco was because of family stuff. If you don't have family stuff, you could pick anywhere in the Midwest. Honestly, I'd go for Michigan, probably, because they got those lakes. I know Ohio has lake, but it's not the best one. It's not. I'm allowed to say that. Ooh, I want to make a video all about this. Nikki wants to know, what is your relationship with being/hanging out with just yourself? I love it. I love it. I love going out to eat by myself. I love going to the movies by myself. I love just hanging by myself. And I think that's something that a lot of people either want to do more or are scared of. So maybe we'll make a whole video about it, because I will show you my ways. You already see it in my videos. I barely ever film with anybody, mostly because it's just easier to not have another whole variable of another person to film around. But yeah, maybe we'll make a whole video about it. Addie says, starting at Ohio State soon. Congratulations. What are the best cheap coffee and vibe spots? Okay, I haven't been much of a campus kid for a while, but I did live on OSU's campus for a couple years, and it's probably changed in the last 10 or so years, wouldn't you think? But there are a couple spots. So Cafe Kerouac, great place to study. You can drink coffee there till like midnight, and they have live music and board games and stuff. We have access to a bus or a vehicle of some sort going a little further north or a little further south, like down to German Village or up to Clintonville. Lots of coffee and cute spots around there, for sure. Global Gallery is great if you want to like do your homework out on a patio, and they've got coffee in the day and beer at night. There's a place called Buckeye Donuts right on campus that has donuts and bad coffee, but it is coffee, and they're open super late. I know I just narrowcasted to like one person, so sorry to everyone else watching this video that you just had to hear about Ohio State campus homework/coffee spots. What time do you get up in the morning, and when do you go to bed? I think this is coming from the fact that I made that waking up at 5 a.m. video. Was it last summer? I think it might be time to make another version of that, because historically I've gone to bed pretty darn late and I've gotten up pretty darn late. Now more recently, because we've had medication in the mix for Kashi that we have to give him at 7 a.m. every morning and also 11 p.m. every night, so that's kind of my sleep window, 11 to 7, which is perfect, you know? That's a solid 8 hours. But wouldn't it be nice to maybe wake up a little earlier to have more time for our creative hobbies? A lot of you guys asked about perfume, which I am so honored because I love perfume. I'm a self-titled scent hound, and I love mixing them up. So here's what I'm wearing these days. I've got three technically. So I'm basic. I love Glossier You for a long time, which also means that I love Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume. Not a Perfume and You are very similar, but I feel like Not a Perfume is a little like spicier, a little more unisex. Anyways, Not a Perfume has a strong version. It's called Not a Perfume Superdose. I got this little sampler from fragrance.com, so it's not very sexy or cool, but this is like that musky skin scent, almost mixed with like men's cologne, which isn't my favorite. I think I like the original Not a Perfume more than the Superdose. But this is a great layering option if you want to intensify another perfume. So I've been combining Superdose with Dirty Vanilla. Is that in focus? I can't tell. By Heretic. I love Heretic scents. I've yet to meet a scent from Heretic that I do not like. Anyways, this is patchouli spicy also vanilla, kind of all of my favorite scents in one. And when you layer them up, oh, it's sexy and lasts forever. And then on the total other end of the scent spectrum, I actually got the summer scent from Ffern, the Summer 26 scent. And this is a rose garden, orange orchard in a bottle. They sent this to me for free and I was like, I love you guys, thank you. Main notes here are clementine rind, rose, bran, grapefruit, basil. Ugh, these I find don't last very long on their own. I will mix it with Superdose sometimes if I'm feeling crazy. I just love everything about Ffern. Organic, seasonal, the illustrations on the packages. Oh, and somebody asked about my current lipstick situation. I have two, and they start with the same base. If I'm wearing lipstick, it's almost always starting with a lip liner stain. My lips are pretty small, so I feel like if I wear lipstick or liner, it comes off pretty quick unless I use a stain. And this is shade 2, Mauve. It's like a brownish nude. And then my favorite combo is to top that with this extremely expired Lancome Shaker Balm. I think that's what they're called. I got these off eBay a couple years ago. They could have maybe been pre-used as well. Yeah, I really rolled the dice, but hey, I've been fine and I love this shade. It's 264 Completely Nut, and it's a nudie brownie stain. And if I'm not going for the nudie brown, I'm usually going for like a bricky red, and my current favorite is Court. That could very well be blurry, I don't know. From Merit, they sponsored me a while ago and sent this in the sponsorship, and I still love it. Their lipstick formulas are pretty bomb, I'll say it. It's almost like a sun-baked brick. Not super dark, but I'll still use the brown lip liner. That was a lot of talking about scents and lipstick, but thanks for asking. Let's talk about books, baby. I'm still reading Jade City. I haven't been reading very much recently. I'm trying. I get like 3 pages in every night and then I'm like, that's just reality right now. I used to fly through books. I feel like I'm at like the total other end of the spectrum right now. And that's okay. I've also got Never Let Me Go. I'm very excited to read that potentially next. And I'm listening to Still Life, which is a murder mystery. It's very quaint so far. So far, all I know is that there's a painting involved. If you got any recommendations, let me know. Oh, you might be wondering, wait, I thought you said you're going to read the whole Warrior Cats series. Yeah, I'd like to. It hasn't happened yet, but I would like to. Okay, games. Let's talk about that. What have you been playing recently? Let's get my Thor. I'll show you. This is my AYN Thor. I made a whole video about it recently. You can go watch it. But basically, this is my little gaming machine. So, I recently finished a puzzle game called Tangle Tower, which is basically just a point-and-click murder mystery. Ugh, the art style, so up my alley. Very cartoony. The writing, very charming. The ending left something to be desired for me, but I think if you like puzzle games and mystery games, the difficulty level on these puzzles was like perfect. I didn't have to look up any guides, but there were a couple times where I'm like, I don't get it. Also, if you know anything about anything, you'll know that the 1.0 update was released for Fields of Mistria. It's officially released. It's so exciting. If you're not familiar, Fields of Mistria is inspired by Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, but make it fantasy. It's incredible. I don't know who I'm marrying yet. I think I just want to date everyone and never marry anyone. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? I've also been playing Jump Scare, this game with my friends. I forget what it's called, but basically you run a supermarket together and sometimes scary people come in and sometimes they haunt you. Okay? It's like Phasmophobia meets Supermarket Simulator meets... I think that's it.
Body part over there.
You guys, there's a gnome. A gnome just came
I
in.
think we just have to like what?
Oh my god! Hey, sir, welcome. Just ignore everything. Thank you.
And just a quick question about K-pop. A lot of people were wondering if Stray Kids is the only K-pop group I listen to. You know, I haven't been much into K-pop recently. I'm gonna be honest, for the last couple months. It's just been hard to buy in. I mean, we all know it's an extremely manufactured industry. It could be called propaganda, if you really want to go that far. And that's just been hard to kind of tolerate for myself personally, or at least really enjoy, which is a bummer because I think K-pop is so fun. I am still listening to Stray Kids. I really only like a couple groups outside of that. I like ATEEZ, and it's not K-pop, but I like XG as well. We love Kokona in this house. I'll admit I feel currently a bit embarrassed for talking about myself for so long, so if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I mentioned at the start, I've never done a Q&A before, and that was for a couple reasons. One, that I already mentioned, just not loving talking about myself ad nauseum. And two, it was a little out of fear of kind of opening a wormhole for people to be a little parasocial and strange. But can I just say, you guys were so normal with the questions you asked. Thank you. I think every day that I am part of the coolest community on the internet and in the real world. I like to think if we were to meet in the real world, we'd vibe. I'm just really thankful. If you have any other questions, drop them down below. I did not answer most of the questions that were asked of me, so I've got much more fodder for the future as well. And I want to ask you a question. Is that okay? Do you feel okay about that? Okay, I'm going to ask two. One that's selfish for me, and one that will help you get to know your fellow people in the comments a little bit better. First question, I want to know what perfumes you like, because I'm always searching for new ones. And if you want to get real nitty gritty with the description, like it smells like when I got my Barbie's hair wet when I was 8. Do that. Paint a word picture for us, please. And then the more community-based question, let's see. Ooh, this is a good one. So I got a couple people asking, how do you make friends as an adult? It's a weird time of life. Lots of transition, lots of uprootedness. So if you have any good tips, how do you make friends as an adult? Drop them down below. Okay, I'll see you next week for an office cleanup makeover video. Very fun. I've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the summer and the fall. And if this is your first time watching and you just watched the whole thing, that's wild. Thanks for being here. Feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you back. Okay, much love. Bye.